Wilmington is the largest city in the state of Delaware, United States, and is located at the confluence of the Christina River and Brandywine Creek, near where the Christina flows into the Delaware River. It is the county seat of New Castle County and one of the major cities in the Delaware Valley metropolitan area. Wilmington was named by Proprietor Thomas Penn after his friend Spencer Compton, Earl of Wilmington, who was Prime Minister in the reign of George II of Great Britain. According to the 2010 census, the population of the city is 70,851, a decrease of 2.4% from 2000. History: the area now known as Wilmington was settled by the Lenape band led by Sachem Matterhorn just before Henry Hudson sailed up the Lenape in 1609. The area was called Milk's Wars Yunk, or Bear Place after the Milk's Wars Hannah that flowed by. It was called the Bear River because it flowed west of the Bear people, who are now known as the people of Conestoga or the Susquehannocks. The Dutch heard and spelled the river and the place as Mingonan. When settlers and traders from the New Sweden Company under Peter Minuit arrived in March 1638 on the Fokker Grip and Kalmar Nyckel, they purchased Milk's Wars Yunk from Chief Matterhorn and built Fort Christina at the mouth of the Milk's Wars Hannah. The area was also known as the Rocks, and is located near the foot of present-day 7th Street. Fort Christina served as the headquarters for the colony of New Sweden, which consisted of, for the most part, the lower Delaware River region, but few colonists settled there. Dr. Timothy Stidham was a prominent citizen and doctor in Wilmington. He was born in 1610, probably in Hammel, Denmark, and raised in Gothenburg, Sweden. He arrived in New Sweden in 1654 and is recorded as the first physician in Delaware. The most important Swedish governor was Colonel Johan Prince, who ruled the colony under Swedish law from 1643 to 1653. He was succeeded by Johan Rising, who upon his arrival in 1654, seized the Dutch post Fort Casimir, located at the site of the present town of New Castle, which was built by the Dutch in 1651. Rising governed New Sweden until the autumn of 1655, when a Dutch fleet under the command of Peter Stuyvesant subjugated the Swedish forts and established the authority of the colony of New Netherland throughout the area formerly controlled by the Swedes. This marked the end of Swedish rule in North America. Beginning in 1664, British colonization began. After a series of wars between the Dutch and English, the area stabilized under British rule, with strong influences from the Quaker communities under the auspices of Proprietor William Penn. A borough charter was granted in 1739 by King George II, which changed the name of the settlement from Willington, after Thomas Willing, the first developer of the land, who organized the area in a grid pattern similar to that of its northern neighbor Philadelphia, to Wilmington, presumably after Spencer Compton, Earl of Wilmington. Although during the American Revolutionary War only one small battle was fought in Delaware, British troops occupied Wilmington shortly after the nearby Battle of Brandywine on September 11, 1777. The British remained in the town until they vacated Philadelphia in 1778. In 1800, Eleuthère copyright na copyright E. Dupont, a French Huguenot, emigrated to the United States. Knowledgeable in the manufacture of gunpowder, by 1802 Dupont had begun making the explosive in Brandywine village just outside of the town of Wilmington. The DuPont Company became a major supplier to the U.S. military. Located on the banks of the Brandywine River, the village was eventually annexed by Wilmington City. The greatest growth in the city occurred during the Civil War. Delaware, though officially remaining a member of the Union, was a border state and divided in its support of both the Confederate and the Union causes. The war created enormous demand for goods and materials supplied by Wilmington, including ships, railroad cars, gunpowder, shoes, and other war-related goods. By 1868, Wilmington was producing more iron ships than the rest of the country combined, and it rated first in the production of gunpowder and second in carriages and leather. Due to the prosperity Wilmington enjoyed during the war, city merchants and manufacturers expanded Wilmington's residential boundaries westward in the form of large homes along tree-lined streets. This movement was spurred by the first horse car line, which was initiated in 1864 along Delaware Avenue. The late 19th century saw the development of the city's first comprehensive park system. William Bancroft, a successful Wilmington businessman influenced by the work of Frederick Law Olmsted, led the effort to establish open parkland in Wilmington. Rockford Park and Brandywine Park were created due to Bancroft's efforts. Both world wars stimulated the city's industries. Industries vital to the war effort are shipyards, steel foundries, machinery, and chemical producers operated around the clock. Other industries produced such goods as automobiles, leather products, and clothing. The post-war prosperity again pushed residential development further out of the city. In the 1950s, more people began living in the suburbs of North Wilmington and commuting into the city to work. This was made possible by extensive upgrades to area roads and highways and through the construction of Interstate 95, which cut through several of Wilmington's neighborhoods and accelerated the city's population decline. Urban renewal projects in the 1950s and 1960s cleared entire blocks of housing in the center city and east side areas. Riots and civil unrest in the city followed the 1968 assassination of Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr. on April 9, 1968. Governor Charles L. Terry, Jr. deployed the National Guard and the Delaware State Police to the city at the request of Mayor John Babaratz. Babaratz asked Terry to withdraw the National Guard the following week, but the governor kept them in the city until his term ended in January 1969. This is reportedly the longest occupation of an American city by state forces in the nation's history. In the 1980s, job growth and office construction were spurred by the arrival of national banks and financial institutions in the wake of the 1981 Financial Center Development Act, which liberalized the laws governing banks operating within the state, and similar laws in 1986. Today, many national and international banks, including Bank of America, Chase, and Barclays, have operations in the city, typically credit card operations. Geography. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 17.0 square miles. Of that, 10.9 square miles is land and 6.2 square miles is water. The total area is 36.25% water. The city sits at the confluence of the Christina River and the Delaware River, about 25 miles southwest of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Wilmington Train Station, one of the southernmost stops on Philadelphia's SEPTA rail transportation system, is also served by Northeast Corridor Amtrak passenger trains. Wilmington is served by I-95, although the twin-span Delaware Memorial Bridge, a few miles south of the city, provides direct highway access between Delaware and New Jersey, carrying the I-295 Eastern Bypass route around Wilmington and Philadelphia, as well as US 40, which continues eastward to Atlantic City, New Jersey. These transportation links and geographic proximity give Wilmington some of the characteristics of a satellite city to Philadelphia, but Wilmington's long history as Delaware's principal city, its urban core, and its independent value as a business destination makes it more properly considered a small but independent city in the Philadelphia metropolitan area. Wilmington lies along the fall-line geological transition from the mid-Atlantic Piedmont Plateau to the Atlantic coastal plain. East of Market Street, and along both sides of the Christina River, the coastal plain land is flat, low-lying, and in places marshy. The Delaware River here is an estuary at sea level, providing sea-level access for ocean-going ships. On the western side of Market Street, the Piedmont topography is rocky and hilly, rising to a point that marks the watershed between the Brandywine River and the Christina River. This watershed line runs along Delaware Avenue westward from 10th Street and Market Street. These contrasting topography and soil conditions affected the industrial and residential development patterns within the city. The hilly west side was more attractive for the original residential areas, offering springs and sites for mills, better air quality, and fewer mosquitoes. Surrounding municipalities, climate. Wilmington is in the northern periphery of a humid subtropical climate, with cool to cold winters, hot, humid summers, and generous precipitation throughout the year. The January daily average is 32.4 degree Fahrenheit, although temperatures may occasionally reach 10 degree Fahrenheit or 50 degree Fahrenheit. In July, the daily average is 76.8 degree Fahrenheit, with an average 21 days of 90 degree Fahrenheit plus highs annually. Snowfall is highly variable, with some winters bringing very little of it and others witnessing several major snowstorms. The average seasonal total is 20.2 inches. Extremes in temperature have ranged from a 15 degree Fahrenheit on February 9, 1934, up to 107 degree Fahrenheit on August 7, 1918, though both 100 degree Fahrenheit plus and 0 degree Fahrenheit readings are uncommon. The last occurrence of each was July 18, 2012 and February 5, 1996, respectively. Demographics: as of the census of 2010, there were 70,851 people, 28,615 households, and 15,398 families residing in the city. The population density was 6,497.6 per square mile. There were 32,820 housing units at an average density of 3,009.9 per square mile and with an occupancy rate of 87.2%. The racial makeup of the city was 58.0% African American, 32.6% white, 0.4% Native American, 1.0% Asian, 0.1% Pacific Islander, 5.4% from other races, and 2.6% from two or more races. 12.4% of the population were Hispanic or Latino of any race. Non-Hispanic whites were 27.9% of the population in 2010, compared to 40.5% in 1990. As of the census of 2000, the largest ancestries included Irish, Italian, German, English, and Polish. There were 28,615 households, out of which 25.0% had children under the age of 18 living with them, 23.5% were married couples living together, 24.8% had a female householder with no husband present, 5.6% had a male householder with no wife present, and 46.2% were non-families. 38.1% of all households were made up of individuals and 12.3% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.36 and the average family size was 3.18. In the city, the population was spread out with 24.4% under the age of 18, 10.0% from 18 to 24, 29.8% from 25 to 44, 24.2% from 45 to 64 and 11.6% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 34.3 years. For every 100 females there were 90.5 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 87.4 males. According to ACS one-year estimates for 2010, the median income for a household in the city was $32,884, and the median income for a family was $37,352. Males working full-time had a median income of $41,878 versus $36,587 for females working full-time. The per capita income for the city was $24,861. 27.6% of the population and 24.9% of families were below the poverty line. 45.7% of those under the age of 18 and 16.5% of those 65 and older were living below the poverty line. Government: the Wilmington City Council consists of 13 members. The council consists of 8 members who are elected from geographic districts, 4 elected at large and the city council president. The council president is elected by the entire city. The mayor of Wilmington is also elected by the entire city. The current mayor of Wilmington is Dennis P. Williams. Williams held the first representative district seat in the State House of Representatives before being elected mayor in 2012. The city council president is Theophilus K. Gregory, Sr., a former city councilman. The city council members are Nnamdio Chukwucha, Ernest Congo II, Darius J. Brown, Hannifar G. N. Shabazz, Samuel Prado, Sherry Dorsey Walker, Robert A. Williams, Charles M. Friel, Michael A. Brown, Sr., Maria D. Cabrera, Loretta Walsh, and Justin A. Wright. The Delaware Department of Correction Howard A. Young Correctional Institution, renamed from Multi-Purpose Criminal Justice Facility in 2004 and housing both pre-trial and post-trial male prisoners, is located in Wilmington. The prison is often referred to as the Gander Hill Prison after the neighborhood it is located in. The prison opened in 1982. Many Wilmington city workers belong to one of several locals of the American Federation of State, County and Municipal Employees Union. Neighborhoods. The city of Wilmington is made up of the following neighborhoods: north of the Brandywine River, Baynard Village, Brandywine Hills. This neighborhood of approximately 225 homes in northern Wilmington was started in 1930s. The streets in the neighborhood are named after famous American and English authors, including Byron, Emerson, Hawthorne and Milton. It is bounded by Lee Boulevard, Rockwood Road, Miller Road, and Market Street, Brandywine Village, East Lawn, Eastlake, Gander Hill, Harlan, 9th Ward. Originally a post-Civil War political creation, the city's 9th Ward has long been an area with owner-occupied residences. The 9th Ward was integrated as a result of population shifts in the 1960s and remains a stable, working-class neighborhood. Prices Run, Riverside. Is a housing development in the northeastern corner of the city. It was built in 1959. Triangle. A group of homes built in the 1920s whose corresponding streets along I-95 and Baynard Boulevard and 18th Street and Concord Avenue loosely form a triangle. East of I-95 Center City. East Side. Justice and Landing, LOMA, Midtown. Brandywine. Row homes near Brandywine Park, Quaker Hill. From a country hilltop in the 19th century to rows of city homes today, Quaker Hill has watched its neighborhood become much more modernized over the last 3 centuries. The city district was founded by Quakers William Shipley and Thomas West in the early 18th century. The nearby Meeting House keeps Quaker Hill closely tied to its rich history. The cemetery of the Wilmington Friends House is the burial site of the abolitionist Thomas Garrett and John Dickinson, signer of the U.S. Constitution. Riverfront, formerly a hub for manufacturing and the city's shipbuilding industry, which began to see a rapid series of state-sponsored urban renewal and gentrification projects beginning in the late 1990s. The neighborhood is currently home to landmarks such as the Wilmington Blue Rocks Baseball Stadium and the Shipyard Shops. Southbridge, Trinity vicinity. This neighborhood is located in the center of Wilmington, next to the Trinity Church and Interstate 95. A collection of row homes and detached houses, many of which were originally built in the late 19th century. The revitalization of the neighborhood was aided by the Urban Homesteading Act in the 1970s. The neighborhood was designated as a historic district in the 1990s. Upper East Side, West Center City, 11th St. Bridge west of I-95, Bayard Square, Browntown. Areas in the city that were originally populated by Polish immigrants. Today, the Polish community maintains a strong presence, while other ethnicities have moved in the neighborhood's borders. Canby Park, Cool Spring and Tilton Park. Bounded loosely by Pennsylvania Avenue on the north, West 7th Street on the south, North Jackson Street on the east and North Rodney Street on the west. The neighborhood is home to 2 Catholic schools, Ursuline Academy and Padua Academy. The neighborhood is also the location of the private university and whist club and the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church, which hosts an annual Greek cultural festival. Delaware Avenue, The Flats. The Flats was founded by businessman William Bancroft, who developed the neighborhood in 1901 under the Woodlawn Company, now known as the Woodlawn Trustees, with the intention of creating affordable homes for working-class residents of Wilmington. The predominantly minority community is currently in the process of gaining authorization for a $100 million revitalization to be performed in 7 phases over 12 years. 40 acres. This historically Irish neighborhood, rural until the mid-19th century, developed from the farmland of Joshua T. Heald. One of the city's first suburbs, the neighborhood is centered on the St. Anne's Roman Catholic Church. The name 40 acres is taken from the fertility of the farmland. 1 acre of the land was said to be worth 40 acres one might find someplace else. The neighborhood exists northeast of Delaware Avenue, southwest of Riddle Avenue, east of Union Street and west of DuPont Street, with Lovering Avenue as its eastern boundary of Lovering Avenue. Green Hill, Happy Valley a small collection of late 19th century row houses on the southeastern slope to Brandywine Park, between Adams Street, Jackson Street, Wywasset Street and Gilpin Avenue. Headville, the Highlands located between Pennsylvania Avenue and Delaware Avenue, the Highlands neighborhood, centered on 18th Street southeast of Rockford Park, was developed by Joshua Heald in the 19th century for affluent, middle-class residents. It contains detached and semi-detached houses of exuberant architectural detailing, representing numerous popular styles of the time. Hilltop this area located along 4th Street and roughly bordered by Lancaster Avenue, Jackson Street, Clayton Street has remained one of the most diverse neighborhoods in the city since the late 19th century. Today, this area is home to one of the city's fastest-growing segments the Hispanic community. Little Italy this neighborhood consists of the area around Union Street and Lincoln Streets, between Pennsylvania Avenue and Lancaster Avenue. Anchored by the immigration waves of the late 19th century and early 20th century, Little Italy has retained its roots, even as neighborhood remodeling projects update the scenery. A central feature of the neighborhood is the St. Anthony's of Padua Roman Catholic Church. The neighborhood hosts an annual Italian festival in the summertime. St. Elizabeth area The St. Elizabeth area is anchored by the St. Elizabeth Parish at 809 South Broome Street, considered the heart of the Catholic community. This historic church, built on the grounds of the Banning Estate, dates back to 1908. Trolley Square settled in the 1860s after the city's trolley line had extended into farmland once owned by the Shawcross and Lovering families. The city's former trolley depot and bus barn was located on the spot where the Trolley Square shopping complex now sits. The neighborhood lies between Harrison Street, Pennsylvania Avenue, Lovering Avenue and the B&O Railroad track. Wywasset Heights, Wywasset Park The neighborhood was constructed by the DuPont Company in 1918 to provide a residential community for their employees. Baltimore architect Edward L. Palmer, Jr. was chosen to design the community, which was to have a mix of single-family homes and smaller attached prior to the development of houses. The neighborhood was constructed on a 50-acre plot. Prior to its construction, the tract of land had been used as a horse racing track and a fairground. Wywasset Park was placed on the Register of Historic Places in 1986. The neighborhood is bounded by Pennsylvania Avenue, West 7th Street, Woodlawn Avenue and Green Hill Avenue. West Hill, Westmoreland detached housing developed in the 1950s, as part of the suburban movement that followed the end of World War II. Its location is adjacent to the original Wilmington Country Club, bounded by Ogle Avenue, DuPont Road, the Wilmington High School property and the Ed Porky Oliver Golf Course. Union Park Gardens, Historic Districts. The City of Wilmington designates 9 areas as historic districts: the Baynard Boulevard, Kentmere Parkway, Rockford Park, Cool Spring Tilton Park, the Tri-Part sections of the East, St. Mary's and Old Swedes Church, Quaker Hill, Delaware Avenue, Trinity Vicinity, and Upper Lower Market Street. Public safety, crime. In 2010, Wilmington had 27 homicides, breaking the 2-year-old record of 26. In 2011, community mobilization against crime was reported to be on the rise in the city. In 2012, Parenting magazine called Wilmington the nation's most dangerous city on a per capita basis. In 2013, Wilmington saw 150 shootings by December 12, breaking a 3-year-old record of 142. Between 2003 and 2012, an average of 560 vehicles were stolen in Wilmington each year. In March 2014, Movota Real Estate rated Wilmington the most dangerous small city in the country. Police. The Wilmington Police Department, which aims to raise the level of public safety through law enforcement and thereby reduce the fear and incidence of crime, is authorized to deploy up to 289 officers in motor vehicles, on foot, and on bicycle. Its operations are accredited by the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. As of 2014, its chief is Bobby Cummings. In 2002, the police department started a program known as Jump Outs, in which unmarked police vans would patrol crime-prone neighborhoods late at night, suddenly converge at street corners and temporarily detain loiterers, photographing and fingerprinting the detainees. The program was touted as a good way to arrest people with drugs or weapons, fill out the police's database of fingerprints, and identify eyewitnesses for future crime investigations. Some citizens said the practice violated civil rights. Also in 2002, Wilmington became perhaps the first U.S. city with its entire downtown area under surveillance. Fire Department and EMS. The Wilmington Fire Department is led by Chief Anthony S. Good and maintains 4 engine companies, 2 squad companies, 2 ladder companies, and a marine firefighting force. The department has a Renewal program to help recruit new firefighters. It requires firefighters to be regularly involved with community associations. Wilmington is the only municipality in Delaware with a career fire department. Emergency medical services are provided through contract with the city's St. Francis Hospital, whose EMS division operates 4 to 5 BLS transport units depending on time of day. Advanced life support services in the city of Wilmington are provided by Newcastle County's EMS division with 2 city-based medic units. All Wilmington firefighters since 2002 are trained to the EMT level and serve as first responders for life-threatening emergencies. On July 1, 2009, the national financial crisis and projected city budget shortfall led the department to lay off firefighters for the first time in city history. 8 of the department's 173 uniformed personnel were laid off, but returned to work within 13 months to replace retiring personnel. The department also began a rolling bypass of 3 engine companies. Later, the city eliminated its only heavy rescue company, Rescue 1. Its personnel were deployed to other companies. In order to provide technical rescue services, the department converted 2 engine companies into squad companies. Engine 1 was redesignated as Squad 1, Engine 3 redesignated as Squad 3. Rescue 1's heavy rescue vehicle remained equipped and held in reserve. Even with the elimination of Rescue 1, the department continued the rolling bypass of an engine company. The rolling bypass now affected SQUAT 4, Engine 5, and Engine 6. The department found some financial relief in 2011 when it was awarded the federal SAFER grant. This enabled the department to fund 13 positions, returning the department staffing to 173 uniformed personnel. Even with the federal grant, the department has stated that the need to continue the rolling bypass should dramatically decrease, however it would not eliminate the need. Public health. The city has one of the highest per capita rates of HIV infection in the United States, with disproportionate rates of infection among African American males. Efforts by local advocates to create needle exchange programs to reduce the spread of infection were obstructed for several years by downstate and suburban state legislators, but a program was finally approved in June 2006. Economy. Much of Wilmington's economy is based on its status as the most populous and readily accessible city in Delaware, a state that made itself attractive to corporations with business-friendly financial laws and a long-standing reputation for a fair and effective judicial system. Contributing to the economic health of the downtown and Wilmington Riverfront regions has been the presence of Wilmington Station, through which 665,000 people passed in 2009. Wilmington has become a national financial center for the credit card industry, largely due to regulations enacted by former Governor Pierre S. DuPont, in 1981. The Financial Center Development Act of 1981, among other things, eliminated the usury laws enacted by most states, thereby removing the cap on interest rates that banks may legally charge customers. Many major credit card issuers, including Bank of America, Chase Card Services, and Barclays Bank of Delaware, are headquartered in Wilmington. The Dutch banking giant ING Group NV headquartered its U.S. Internet banking unit, ING Direct, in Wilmington. The United Kingdom's HSBC has their American operations headquartered in Wilmington. Wilmington Trust is headquartered in Wilmington at Rodney Square. Barclays and Capital One 360 have very large and prominent locations located along the waterfront of the Christina River. In 1988, the Delaware legislature enacted a law which required a would-be acquirer to capture 85% of the Delaware chartered corporation's stock in a single transaction or wait 3 years before proceeding. This law strengthened Delaware's position as a safe haven for corporate charters during an especially turbulent time filled with hostile takeovers. Wilmington's other notable industries include insurance, retail banking, and legal services. A General Motors plant was closed in 2009. Wilmington is home to one Fortune 500 company, E.I. DuPont de Nemours and Company. In addition, the city is the corporate domicile of more than 50% of the publicly traded companies in the United States, and over 60% of the Fortune 500. Delaware chartered corporations rely on the state's Court of Chancery to decide legal disputes, which places legal decisions with a judge instead of a jury. The Court of Chancery, known both nationally and internationally for its speed, competence, and knowledgeable judiciary as a court of equity, is empowered to grant broad relief in the form of injunctions and restraining orders, which is of particular importance when shareholders seek to block or enjoin corporate actions such as mergers or acquisitions. The Court of Chancery, as a statewide court, may hear cases in any of the state's 3 counties. A dedicated use Chancery courthouse was recently constructed in Georgetown, Sussex County, which has hosted high-profile complex corporate trials such as the Disney shareholder litigation. Delaware has among the strictest rules in America regarding out-of-state legal practice, allowing no reciprocity to lawyers who passed the bar in other states. Top employers. According to Wilmington's 2011 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the top employers in the city are arts and culture, ethnic festivals. Wilmington has an active and diverse ethnic population, which contributes to several ethnic festivals held every spring and summer in Wilmington, the most popular of which is the Italian Festival. This event, run by St. Anthony of Padua Catholic Church, closes down 6 blocks in the west side of the city the second week of June for traditional Italian music, food, and activities, along with carnival rides and games. Another, somewhat smaller festival that draws large crowds is the Greek Festival, which is organized by Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church. The event features traditional Greek crafts, food, drink, and music. Another notable annual festival, the Polish Festival, organized by St. Hedwig's Catholic Church, which features Polish cuisine with carnival rides and entertainment. Hanif's African Festival celebrates the heritage of the African American majority in the city. Wilmington is also home to the annual Big August Quarterly, which since 1814 has celebrated African American religious freedom. India Fest, another cultural festival, is hosted by the Indo-American Association of Delaware. Wilmington also celebrates Hispanic Week, which coincides with National Hispanic Month festivities, September 15th–October 15th. The festival culminates with a pageant and desfile along 4th Street. Concerts featuring Latin music acts, Latin cuisine and a carnival are held at the Riverfront on the last weekend. Activities are also held at St. Paul's Catholic Church. Music festivals. The Clifford Brown Jazz Festival is a week-long outdoor music festival held each summer in Wilmington's Rodney Square. The People's Festival is an annual tribute to Bob Marley, who once lived in Wilmington. Started in 1994, the event features reggae and world beat musicians playing original music and Bob Marley and the Wailers songs. The festival is held on the Wilmington Riverfront each summer. The Riverfront Blues Festival, a 3-day music festival held each August in the Tubman Garrett Riverfront Park, features prominent blues acts as well as artists from the local area. Holiday events, annual tree lighting ceremony related to the Christmas holiday at Rockwood Museum and Park, Wilmington Riverfront. In the 1990s, the city launched a campaign to revitalize the former shipyard area known as the Wilmington Riverfront. Delaware Theatre Company was at the forefront of this movement, opening its current space on Water Street in 1985. The efforts were bolstered early by the Big Kuna, also known as Caillou Naval, and the Wilmington Blue Rocks Minor League Baseball Stadium. The Wilmington Rowing Center Boathouse is located along the Christina River on the riverfront. Development continues as the Wilmington Riverfront tries to establish its cultural, economical, and residential importance. Recent high-rise luxury apartment buildings along the Christina River have been cited as evidence of the riverfront's continued revival. On June 7, 2006, the groundbreaking of Justice and Landing signaled the beginning of Wilmington's largest residential project since Bancroft Park was built after World War II. Outlets, shops, restaurants and a riverfront market have also opened along the 1.2-mile River Walk. Media, radio and television. The Wilmington area is home to 5 FM radio stations and 4 AM radio stations. A 6th FM radio station is located in southern New Jersey and is included in the Wilmington radio market surveys. 91.3 Fathom WVUDA Euro non-commercial radio, 91.7 Fathom WMPHA Euro non-commercial high school radio, 93.7 Fathom WSTW, pop contemporary hits, 99.5 Fathom WJBR-FM, adult contemporary, 101.7 Fathom WJKS urban contemporary, 103.7 Fathom WXCY, country, 1150 AM WDEL, News Talk Information, 1290 AM WWTX, Sports Talk, 1380 AM WTMCA Euro Travel Information, 1450 AM Wilma Euro. News Talk Information, Wilmington is part of the Philadelphia television market. 3 of the market stations are licensed to Wilmington, WTSD-CAR, WPPX, WHYY-TV. Newspaper, The News Journal, founded as the Delaware Gazette in 1785. Daily circulation as of 2004 and 2007 exceeded 100,000, placing the newspaper among the top 100 in the United States based on circulation. Wilmington Sunday Star, portrayal of Wilmington in popular culture. Wilmington's skyline and other aerial shots of the city were featured as the stand-in for the fictional town of Arcadia in the television program Joan of Arcadia. Wilmington is portrayed as the fictional location of the 1999 film Fight Club, as evidenced in the narrator's business card including the suburban Wilmington zip code 19808 and his apartment building having as its motto "A place to be somebody." Other references include Delaware state flags, Delaware license plates, new fight clubs in Newcastle, Delaware City, and Penn's Grove, and the presence of credit card companies. However, city officials rejected the filmmakers' request to film in Delaware. The movie's exteriors were filmed around Los Angeles. In the movie The Wrestler, the character portrayed by Mickey Rourke has his final match in Wilmington. In The Simpsons episode Simpsons Tall Tales, the family wins a trip to Delaware and Lisa exclaims, "I want to see Wilmington." In the James Patterson novel Cat and Mouse, Wilmington appears as one of the crime scenes. The city has been used as a setting for crime procedurals such as Criminal Minds and Bones. The 1970s TV series The Incredible Hulk Season 1 Episode 4 The Final Round took place in Wilmington. David Banner comes to Wilmington and befriends a boxer after being mugged immediately after getting off the train. His new friend is unknowingly running heroin for a mob boss. The scenes do not appear to be shot in Wilmington, but the city's name is said several times. Saturday Night Live skits featuring a portrayal of Vice President Joe Biden often reference his past residency in Wilmington. One of the most notable examples appears in the cold opening of the May 12, 2012, episode, in which SNL's Biden pouts in his Washington, D.C. bedroom that comically mirrors an adolescence. One of the several posters taped to the background wall is an aerial picture of the downtown Wilmington skyline with Delaware printed along the bottom. In The Bourne Legacy, Wilmington, Delaware was one of the locations that Aaron Cross flees to. CIA headquarters tracks him to that location. Transportation. Wilmington is served by the Joseph A. Biden Jr. Wilmington Rail Station, with frequent service between Boston, Massachusetts, and Washington, D.C., via Amtrak's Northeast Corridor. SEPTA Regional Rail provides frequent additional local commuter rail service to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania along the Wilmington-Newark line. Amtrak has a major maintenance shop and yard in northeast Wilmington that maintains and rebuilds the agency's Northeast Corridor electric locomotive fleet. The Amtrak training facility is also located in Wilmington, as well as Amtrak's Consolidated National Operations Center. Two freight railroads, CSX and Norfolk Southern, also serve Wilmington. Each has a major freight yard in the area. CSX operates the Willsmere Yard to the west of the city and Norfolk Southern operates the Edgemere Yard to the northeast of the city. DART First State operates public bus service with approximately 40 bus lines serving the city and the surrounding suburbs as well as inter-county service to Dover, the state capital, and seasonal service to Rehoboth Beach on the Atlantic Ocean. They also offer Rideshare Delaware, a program which links commuters looking for carpools or vanpools. In addition, the site offers transit riders, walkers or bikers a guaranteed ride home in the event of a work emergency. Greyhound operates interstate bus service out of the downtown bus terminal at the rail station. Interstate 95, which splits Wilmington roughly into eastern and western halves, provides access to major markets in the northeast and nationwide. Interstate 495 is a bypass just east of the city, and Interstate 295 is south of the city, crossing the Delaware River into New Jersey on the Delaware Memorial Bridge. I-495 was closed as of July 2014 due to structural problems with the bridge over the Christina River. The closest major airport is Philadelphia International Airport. A few miles south of Wilmington is Wilmington-Philadelphia Regional Airport, which is a focus city for Frontier Airlines and also serves as a base for both the Delaware Army National Guard and Delaware Air National Guard. Port of Wilmington. Wilmington is also served by the Port of Wilmington, a modern full-service deep-water port and marine terminal handling over 400 vessels per year with an annual import-export cargo tonnage of 5 million tons. The Port of Wilmington handles mostly international imports of fruits and vegetables, automobiles, steel, and bulk products. Sports. The Delaware Sports Museum and Hall of Fame is located in Frawley Stadium. In 2010, Sporting News ranked Wilmington 351st on its list of the 400 best sports towns, behind both Newark and Dover, two much smaller cities in Delaware. Running events. The Delaware Distance Classic is a 15K road race held in October. It is the event of the year for the Pike Creek Valley Running Club. The course has rotated every few years based on sponsorship. The event began in 1983 as a fundraiser for the PCVRC, but the Special Olympics has been the beneficiary for the last few years. The Caesar Rodney Half Marathon is a 21.0975-kilometer road race held each year on the second Sunday in March, starting in 1964. Billed by race organizers as the granddaddy of Delaware road races, the Caesar Rodney Half Marathon and the city that hosts it welcomes more than 1,000 runners from 20 states and several countries around the world. The out and back race takes participants from the starting line at Wilmington's Rodney Square through the streets of Wilmington, past the scenic revitalized Riverfront, through Rockford Park and back to Rodney Square at the Caesar Rodney statue. Proceeds benefit the American Lung Association of Delaware. The Run for the Buds 1/2 Marathon, 1/2 Marathon Relay, and 5K Run Walk is held annually at Rockford Park, Wilmington in middle October. Proceeds benefit individuals with intellectual disabilities through the Down Syndrome Association of Delaware. Outdoor recreation. The Wilmington State Parks are a group of 4 parks in Wilmington operated by the Delaware State Park System. The 4 parks are Brandywine Park, including the Brandywine Zoo and Baynard Stadium, Alapacas Woods Natural Area, H. Fletcher Brown Park and Rockford Park. Admission to the parks is free, but a fee is charged for admittance to the zoo. The parks, within minutes of each other, are open year-round from sunrise to sunset. The zoo is open daily from 10:00 a.m. until 4:00 p.m., May through November. Rockford Tower and Rockford Park is open from 10:00 a.m. until 4:00 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays, from May 1 until October 31. The parks are patrolled by Delaware State Park Rangers whose headquarters office is in Brandywine Park. The city of Wilmington also operates 55 parks and recreational facilities across the city. Education. Wilmington is served by the Brandywine, Colonial, Christina, and Red Clay school districts for elementary, junior high, and high school public education. The Newcastle County Vocational Technical School District operates Howard High School of Technology in the city of Wilmington. In 1954, the Brown v. Board of Education decision by the U.S. Supreme Court forced the then segregated schools of Newcastle County to desegregate. However, the subsequent 11 school districts that were created in the county, including the Wilmington School District, soon became de facto segregated, as the Wilmington School District became predominantly black, and the districts outside the city remained overwhelmingly white. In response, the 1976 U.S. District Court decision Evans v. Buchanan implemented a plan by which students in Wilmington would be bused to attend school in the suburbs for certain grades, while suburban students would be bused into the city of Wilmington for other grades. By 1981, the four current districts in northern Newcastle County, Brandywine, Christina, Colonial, and Red Clay, each composed of city and suburban areas, were established. There are several private elementary and secondary schools in Wilmington: Salesianum School, Serviam Girls Academy, Nativity Preparatory of Wilmington, 1, Ursuline Academy, Wilmington Friends School, the Tatnall School, Tower Hill School, St. Elizabeth High School, and Padua Academy. Wilmington also hosts two charter schools, including the Charter School of Wilmington, and Eastside Charter School, and a magnet school, Cab Calloway School of the Arts, which focuses on the performing arts. The Charter School of Wilmington and Cab Calloway School of the Arts are housed in the building of the former Wilmington High School. Universities and colleges. There are several colleges operating in the city of Wilmington: Delaware College of Art and Design, Delaware State University Wilmington Campus, Delaware Technical and Community College Wilmington Campus, Dawn Career Institute, Drexel University Wilmington Campus, Goldie Beacon College, Springfield College Wilmington Campus, University of Delaware Wilmington Campus and Downtown Building, Widener University Wilmington Campus, Widener University School of Law and University College, Wilmington University formerly had Graduate Center and City, Points of Interest. Brandywine Zoo, Delaware Art Museum, Delaware Center for the Contemporary Arts, Delaware Center for Horticulture, Delaware Children's Museum, Delaware Children's Theater, Delaware Historical Society, Delaware Sports Museum and Hall of Fame, Delaware Theater Company, DuPont Playhouse, Fort Christina State Park, Grand Opera House, Calmer-Nichol Foundation and Tall Ship, Holy Trinity Church, Riverfront Market, Rockford Tower, Rodney Square, Wilmington Blue Rocks, Carolina League Baseball, Wilmington Drama League Wilmington, Delaware, the Wilmington Library, Wilmington Riverfront, Wilmington State Parks which includes Brandywine Park, near the city, Brandywine Battlefield, Cooch's Bridge, Mount Cuba Center, Hagley Museum and Library, Nemours Mansion and Gardens, Winterthur Museum and Country Estate, Longwood Gardens, Brandywine River Museum, Sister Cities. Wilmington has 7 sister cities, as designated by Sister Cities International: Arad, Israel; Fulda, Germany; Kalmar, Sweden; Ningbo, China; Olivano sul Tisciano, Italy; Osogbo, Nigeria; Watford, England, UK. See also: List of notable people from Wilmington, Delaware, List of Wilmington mayors, National Register of Historic Places listings in Wilmington, Delaware, Sunday Breakfast Mission, references. Further reading, published in the 18th and 19th centuries, Jedidiah Morse. Wilmington. The American Gazetteer. Boston, Massachusetts, at the presses of S. Hall, and Thomas and Andrews. Charles P. Dare, Wilmington, Philadelphia, Wilmington and Baltimore Railroad Guidebook, OCLCA 37266637 published in the 20th century, Carol Hafecker, Corporate Capital, Wilmington in the 20th Century, Philadelphia, Temple University Press, 1983, external links, Wilmington, Delaware, Downtown Wilmington, Wilmington Riverfront, Wilmington Visitors Bureau, Historic Wilmington Archive, Swedish Colonial Society, Wilmington Riverfront Hazy Summer Morning, photograph published in the News Journal, Wilmington Riverfront Cranes at Night, Condos at the Riverfront Photo Street Anthony's Festival.